Boo. It's blue. I'm back. Can you believe it? I'm back. Reason I had to leave. I may or may not have sliced the tip of my finger off with a mandolin in the kitchen. So I finally regrew enough of my finger so it didn't have to be wrapped. And now I can play video games again. Anyway, hopefully, camera quality looks a little better. I did not upgrade my webcam, but I did get a light. And I got a second monitor, so you see me looking over here, you'll see me looking over here. We'll go back and forth. It's gonna be great. But I was gonna put this out the day after New Year's. It would have been January 1st this video came out. I had to put it on pause. My finger was wrapped. I was in a lot of pain. I'm not gonna show it, but if you see it, sorry. It's just a finger that's missing the tip of it. I don't know what to tell you. It just looks like a scab, okay? But today we are going... Please don't fall down, jeez. Thought my light was gonna... Anyway, today we're gonna go ahead and rate all of my games that I played in the year of 2025. So let's get started. Oh shit, I should have... Damn, we're a little rusty. Anyway. Also, I just want to say that I gave up, like, after game 3 of making this look fancy, schmancy, nice, whatever, and you'll see why, because it took forever. It took me like an hour to get through the 3 games, and I have 60 of them to get through. Before I start this, halfway through, we're gonna open a, Destin's Rival Pokemon pack, because I'm getting a big break from talking, and we're also going to open a Phantasmal Flames because I said so, and I have a few videos of me opening packs, but I didn't want to upload them and screw up my algorithm. So follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I'll put them on my stories more than likely. How are we rating the games today? Wouldn't you like to know? I'm gonna rate them on 3 categories. 1, gameplay. 2, looks. 3, storyline. And some of them will have a blue approves sticker, meaning I think they're worth the time, so go play them if you want. First game, Assemble with Care. Great game. Down below we'll have a little area where you can read like the summary of the game if you're curious. Starting with gameplay, where are my notes? We got a solid 9 out of 10. I deducted a point because I really like puzzle games and I thought this one was a little easy. Could have used a few more challenging puzzles. Also, I'm really sorry if I keep looking over here. I used to be able to look down. I'm getting used to the whole double monitor sort of thing. Okay. Looks 10 out of 10. Cute game. Loved it. Adorable. Story also 10 out of 10. Heartfelt game. Who doesn't love a heartfelt game, right? And overall, we have a 9.6 and a blue approves. Where did my 9.6 go? A blue approves sticker. Game 2, we have That's Not My Neighbor. Starting off with gameplay. It's a cool click and point game. Has enough components where it's not a boring click and point game. So a 10 out of 10. Looks, we also have a 10 out of 10 because I like the whole art style of it. And the story, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 because you only play a week. There's not a whole lot of lore that you get, and the lore you do get, you have to unlock. And so it's more of a let me play this console board game rather than a just play it for the lore. But overall, I guess a 9.3 and the blue approved stamp. Game 3, Dollmare. Y'all remember Dollmare? We're going way back. Gameplay. Fuck, it did it again. What the hell? Gameplay, 6 out of 10. Way too long of a game. It took me 5 hours long to get both endings. Too repetitive. Looks though, 10 out of 10. I like the dolls. They were cute, but they're also kind of freaky, which is good. And then story, 8 out of 10. I'm pretty sure I've seen like 8 other games with sort of the same concept. So I deducted 2 points, but we get an 8 out of 10. Next game, The Operator. This game I still think of daily. Oh, go back. Okay, this is where I got, a little lazy. It took me a while to make this PowerPoint for y'all. Gameplay, 10 out of 10. I liked the style of it. It was like an old computer. You're playing on a computer, through a computer. I think that's pretty neat. Looks also 10 out of 10. It was simple, easy, read well. Story, 10 out of 10. Loved the whole alien, or is it the government, or is it like a hacker, I think is what it was. Yes. So overall, gets a 10 out of 10 for me, and the Blue approves. If you ever need a story mode game, and you like puzzles and like crime, this is the game for you. I think I got it on sale, and I think it's a pretty cheap game anyway, so check it out. The Anonymous Hacker Simulator, the one I couldn't pronounce for the longest time.
Welcome back.
To the Anonymous Gameplay, 8 out of 10. Too many side stories. Let's just stick with the main thing. And if you don't play every single day, you forget everything, or at least I did. And there's no like cheat sheet. I mean there is, but it's not very readable. So 8 out of 10. Looks 10 out of 10. I was thinking about deducting one for the 3D aspect, but you're not in that a whole lot, so kept it with a 10 out of 10. Story, 6 out of 10. It got confusing with the sidelines. Not sidelines, side stories for me personally. But again, that's just a personal opinion, so take it with a grain of salt. So overall, this gets an 8 out of 10 for me. Rusty Lake Roots. This was a 2-parter, if I believe correctly. Gameplay, 9 out of 10. Easy, simple puzzle game. Looks, 10 out of 10. If you haven't learned yet, I like horror. I like creepy things. This is creepy-ish. That like weird look, that's for sure. So 10 out of 10. But the story, I'm gonna get a 7 out of 10. Just because if you don't play every single game and every single game in order, which I don't think I did, it's confusing. And then you had to like go back and you found secrets to like really get to know the lore. You know? If you remember way back then. Wasn't my favorite Rusty Lakes game, that's for sure. I should also upgrade my chair. Listen to that. Oh, no, it's not gonna go. Okay. Anyway, overall 8 points to this. Game 7. We have Be Honest, a small indie horror game. Which I think this actually wasn't the full game. I think a week later after I played this, I realized a full game was in development. I don't know if it's out yet. So maybe I'll come back to this game in the future. Not sure. But gameplay, 8 out of 10. It was like a survey. Not much to it. Looks 8 out of 10. Super simple. What you're seeing on the screen is exactly what it looked like the entire game. Gets a little repetitive. Story, 6 out of 10. Just because it wasn't fully developed, I think it would have been better. Everybody gets the same ending, which sucks. So hopefully in the fully developed one, we'll get it like more than just like 3 or 2 or 3, and we'll get more like at least like 5 or 6. And overall gets a 7.3 for me. Alrighty, fear assessment. This is in here twice, and I think it's because the first time I played it, it was the demo. That I just replayed it twice. I don't know. But gameplay, with the demo, 9 out of 10, it was super short. It took like 2 minutes to play. Looks 10 out of 10, freaked me out. That's for sure. Story, 8 out of 10, because I think this time it was the demo, so there really wasn't much to it in like the 2 minutes that I played. So overall, we got a 9 out of 10 for this game. Also, look at this. I did all of this just for this video. Game 9. Evaluation. Gameplay, 9 out of 10. It was a simple point and click, but there was a typing aspect to it, which I thought was really cool because in some parts it forced you to type things, or it would change your answer like really quick, and it just depended if you saw it or not. Looks 10 out of 10, freaked me out, weird, creepy atmosphere, which I love in a game. And story was a 10 out of 10 for me as well, because there's like this weird tie with religion, which I tend to not like in horror games, because it's often like the same thing, you know? Like, it's like, oh, angel, spooky, ah. But this one was really cool. Check this one out for yourself if you didn't watch me play it, or go check out this video. It's probably a couple months old, that's for sure. Overall it gets a 9.6 out of 10 for me. How many times? Take a shot every time I say for me. Like a blank out of 10 for me. Let's see how many times I say it. Alright. Game 10. Let Him Go. This is a Roblox game. You got like borderline yaoi for the game cover. I'm not even gonna lie. Gameplay was a 7 out of 10. It was okay, but I think I had such high expectations of this game because of TikTok. I don't know if y'all saw other like horror Roblox games going popular, and this was one of them. So 7 out of 10, just because of that. Looks, it's a Roblox game. I'm not gonna. It looked like Roblox, so it gets a 7 out of 10. I totally did that. Gameplay and story, they kind of go hand in hand, so 7 out of 10 there too. So overall, 7 out of 10. Jim's Computer, another Roblox game. I do believe I played 3 Roblox games in a video, and I did them all separately. I'm not gonna put them all together. Gameplay, 8 out of 10. Loved it. Freaked me out in the first person mode. I'm not gonna lie. Like, if you put horror in first person in Roblox, it works. And it wasn't repetitive in the sense like I wanted to rip my hair out, so. But it was quite repetitive, so we took some points off. Looks, 6 out of 10. I like the look of the other game better in this game because we have a room and a bedroom. There was not much to this game, looks wise. Story, 8 out of 10. It's one of the better horror games on Roblox. There's a lot of, not gonna lie, scary looking ones out. Maybe I should check those out sometime. But overall, this game gets a 7.3. This game, so I didn't find a bio for it or something weird or whatever. Short horror game, Willy's Games. Gameplay, 3 out of 10. The obby was broken. It was an obby. It was dumb. Worst obby I've ever played. Not even gonna lie. Looks, 5 out of 10. It's Roblox. Nothing special. Story, 1 out of 10. It had 2 jump scares that actually got me, but it's literally just Saw in Roblox form. So 3 out of 10. Nothing special. This one actually got restricted in certain areas, so if you did not see this game, it's because it's restricted in your area. Sorry. It was a little short on time for this game, and I was just starting. I was really trying to get my videos out every Tuesday and Thursday. So my Clone Hero meme charts, because it's 10 out of 10 all around. I love Clone Hero. I play all the time in my free time. That's why I have those as well. I play drums. Maybe we'll stream it. Just still working on that. Should be able to stream in the new year though. I say as we're halfway, just about halfway through the first month. It's the 11th. I don't know, but gets Blue Proofs. Really fun game. If you miss Guitar Hero or Rock Band, check this one out. It is free. Game 14, Little Nightmares 1. I said at the end of the game series, 10 out of 10. This was the first horror game that like really got me freaked out more than I would like to admit. Blue Proof sticker is down there. check it out if you haven't played. Very excited to play the third one. I do want to play it. It's still a little out of my price range, and there's a lot of mixed reviews, so... But I would love to replay the first game for the first time again. And backpacking off of Little Nightmares 1, we have the DLC that I apparently had when I bought the game and didn't realize it until halfway through, like, my last game of 1, so I had to cut it. Really weird to do the DLC series. So, 10 out of 10 all around. It's the same as Little Nightmares 1. I really like the plot twist at the end, though. So, it was different enough, but also kept with the storyline of the main game, which I love. I don't like when people are like, let's do something completely different in the DLC. That's just dumb. This also gets a Blue Approved, so if you buy Little Nightmares 1, I'd recommend getting the DLC with it. Ooh, I forgot about this one. Death Flush. Gameplay, 8 out of 10. It was like a PS2 game, which I kind of liked. And it was also first person, I think? But, yeah, it was easy. It was like, go here, go here. The fighting sequence was a little broken, not gonna lie, but it's what happens with a lot of indie games. So, looks-wise, 9 out of 10. Not only did it play like a PS2 game, it low-key looked like a PS2 game, which I love. I love the old looks of games like that. And the story gets an 8 out of 10. It was supposed to be funny. It was funny, but it wasn't funny enough to be memorable. No hate to the depth. Just wasn't my thing. So 8.3 out of 10. Game 17, Shift at Midnight. This is the demo. I want to say the full game is out. I think it was supposed to come out like December of 2025. So maybe I'll check this one out in the future as well. But overall, this gets a 10 out of 10. Gameplay was really easy. Wasn't repetitive. Repetitive enough, though, to make it like a job, obvi. Looks 10 out of 10. Also gave like old PS game, which I like. And story was 10 out of 10 for a demo, so. Also, I just want to say that a lot of demos, it's a 50-50 if I put the Blue Approved. The reason why I didn't put it on Shift at Midnight was because I wasn't sure if they'd stick as well with the full game as they did the demo. So, Game 18, The Lost Fear. Gameplay, 10 out of 10. It was easy. You walked around. There was not anything you had to do. Was that English? There wasn't anything you had to do. Which does draw back sometimes, but in this case, it was like a free roam explore game, which was nice. Especially for like the 5 minutes that you play this game, because it's a very short game. Looks 10 out of 10. I don't know how they got this game to look as real as it did, but it was freaky, to say the least. Story, we're giving it an 8 out of 10. There really wasn't a story, it was more for a shock value, but it still it still gets the Blue Approved sticker. Check this out, especially if you have a friend who wants to get into horror games, but doesn't want to play like a super long one, and isn't sure if they like horror. This is a good beginner jump scare game, that's for sure. Overall, 9.3 out of 10. Oh god, why did I give this such a high rating? This game was stupid. This game was so stupid. I wanted to rip my door off the hinges. I was so sick of doors after this one. But, just more doors. Where are my notes? It's an 8 out of 10 for gameplay. I'm thinking about it again. I would put this towards like a 5 or a 6, not even gonna lie. You literally just open doors. So there wasn't like anything to this game at all. Looks though, 10 out of 10. It was simple, it was nice, it had a bunch of variants of doors. Somewhere in the game, I think it actually says how many doors that they made. Don't ask me, I don't remember now. Story, 8 out of 10. The ending to actually beat the game, really stupid. Though I do like the little bit of lore that they put in there about the behind the scenes of the game. There was like an art room, showed you the devs, showed you like all the hidden things in the game, the different chairs, doors, blah 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 blah. So overall, it gives an 8.6 out of 10. Oh, I didn't cheat. Gameplay, 8 out of 10. It was basically what's the word? A survival game, which I like survival games, but this was, you're not doing a whole lot, but you're doing enough where you gotta go focus on this, focus on this, focus on this. You gotta keeps you on your toes. That's what I'm trying to say. Keeps you on your toes. So overall, 8 out of 10. I feel like that's really fair if you've seen this video. Looks wise, 10 out of 10. Also gave old games. Honestly, kind of remind me of a DS games. Is my camera shaking every time I move? Just gotta put my arms down. But yeah, like the looks, can't complain about them. Story, I'm gonna 8 out of 10. You're cheating on a test. That's all. So overall, 9.3 out of 10. The Professional gameplay, 10 out of 10. It was so stupid. It was so difficult. I don't even think I made it past the lasers. I gave up. So if you need something to do because you're that bored, this is a good game. Looks wise, it's simple. It's easy. Not easy. It's simple. Simplistic. That's literally the same word, just in a different form. Anyway, it looked good. It looks better than that photo. Some of these photos are really blurry. Don't hate me, hate the game. Literally. Story, 10 out of 10. You're getting a gem. And that's all you need for this game. There's nothing more, nothing less you needed. So it gets the Blue Cruise sticker because I said so. Nothing to say. Gameplay, 8 out of 10. It's literally just click and point. There is a little bit of strategy behind it, but because you're replaying it to the point you get all your letters, it wasn't very hard to beat. I think I played for 3 minutes, like it was so short. Looks though, 10 out of 10. It was cute. I like the monocolor thing it had going on. It fit the star. Jesus Christ. It fit the style, fit the story. Just overall good vibes. Story was also a 10 out of 10 for the cute, short, simple game that we had here. So 9.3 out of 10. Ooh, Little Chef. This is a good one to play when you're bored. However, we're gonna give it an 8 out of 10. It's literally drag and drop. Will this go together? Will it not? Let's find out, sort of thing. Looks though, 10 out of 10. Love the art style. It was cute. Cutesy patootsy. That's so cringy when I say that, actually. Can I take that back? It was a cute game. Looks wise. I know for a fact I'm not gonna cut that out later, but okay. Story though, 9 out of 10. You literally just click around and make food. There's nothing more than that. But there didn't need to be more. So, not complaining. 9 out of 10. Exhibit of Sorrows. This was a good one. This one did not work very well though. When I played it, there wasn't a download. I just had to play in the browser, so it was really, really laggy. Like I could barely, like it might look like like an editing issue or a resolution issue on YouTube. No, that's how the game ran. It was bad. But gameplay, we're getting a 9 out of 10. Point and click. You can't go wrong with a point and click. Looks 10 out of 10. Love the cute, creepy style. Also, it's cartoony. Who doesn't like that? If you don't, then tough luck. I don't know. Story 8 out of 10 though. It was, you're an exhibit, you need to escape. It was simple, but it made sense in the atmosphere of the game. So overall, it's gonna get a 9 out of 10 for me. Game 25, Little Nightmares 2, same reasons for the first one. Love the gameplay, it's strategy, it's survival. Looks 10 out of 10. I like the monsters in this one. I like the look of the monsters in this one better. typically the original is the best, but sometimes the sequels or the part 2s are a little better, and I think that is the case in this one. Just story 10 out of 10. Really, really liked the co-op, but not actually co-op sense to this game. And it also was technically the prequel of the first game. Like, this is what happened to 6 before the ship, I think, if I remember correctly. Anyway, overall, 10 out of 10. Woo approves. You played the first one, totally recommend the second one. Or if you plan on playing the first one, totally recommend the second one. Game 26, Five Nights at Freddy's. I did a video where I checked out 3 fan FNAF games, and this was a very popular one that came up on itch.io for some reason. I don't know why. It wasn't anything special. So, gameplay 7 out of 10, it was literally just FNAF. So, there was something about this game that was buggy though. Like, there was some sort of hamster or gerbil or guinea pig, whatever the fuck that animal is, that just didn't work very well. Like, there was a certain one, and I was like, how do I get rid of you? Do I not get rid of you? Do I keep you around? Do I watch you? And it didn't specify what to do, so probably why I knocked it down. Looks though, 9 out of 10. It's literally the FNAF map with pictures of guinea pigs. Yes, story 5 out of 10. It's literally just the Five Nights at Freddy's remake. That's why it's getting a 5. There was nothing special about it. So overall, 7.3 out of 10. Check it out if you want to, but honestly, you can pass. There's better ones. Speaking of Five Nights at Freddy's, we have Five Nights at Tyler's. Tyler, the creator. Gameplay 7 out of 10. It's Five Nights at Freddy's. Again, there was one of them that I had a really hard time figuring out how to get rid of, and it didn't really specify who was what character, like in relation to the actual Five Nights at Freddy's games, or how to play. So 7 out of 10. Looks 8 out of 10. It's not the FNAF map, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think it's FNAF map. But it was like very close to it. And like pictures of place. I don't remember. But 8 out of 10. It was different enough for me to give it a higher rating. Story, 5 out of 10. Overall, 6.6 out of 10. Game 28, Five Nights at Frederick's. I think that's how you say that. I love this game. It was such a good FNAF remake. As somebody who grew up playing and not actually being able to beat the game because I was so young, and watching Markiplier play, and watching so many FNAF fan remakes, I don't know how I didn't know this one existed, but I loved it. Gameplay, 10 out of 10, because while it is a FNAF remake, there was enough things that were different to make it enjoyable, basically. Looks 10 out of 10, love the art style. It was pretty much caricatures, however you pronounce that word, of FNAF characters, which loved. And the story is a 10 out of 10. While it is a FNAF remake, it actually gives you lore of these FNAF characters. So, because there was like a robot guy. I don't know what the robot guy was. I don't remember. I remember I knew in the game, but I don't remember now. So 10 out of 10, and it gives my approval. So check that one out. It's free on itch.io. Game 29, Poco. If I remember correctly, this was actually a project by like 4 different college students. Awesome. Cannot believe this came from a college project. The gameplay is a 10 out of 10. It was a point and click, but if I remember correctly, there was like mini games, like Simon Says. There was like a mini rhythm game. So it had enough different things in it to make it cohesive, but also but it didn't get boring, is what I'm trying to say. Looks 10 out of 10. I absolutely love the art style and how different all the characters are. It was a mix of 2D along with 3D rendering characters. Loved the mix. It went well. Typically with games like that, you don't see them being very cohesive, but it was very cohesive in this game. And the story was a 10 out of 10. Little clown has to either go back to the clown world, or yeah, he has to go back to the clown world by building a rocket with all these people on this little island. So overall, 10 out of 10. Got the blue approved sticker. So, game 30, Heavy Rain. I do believe this was the first, like, choice-based game I played. Like, one that people have heard of before, and is very popular. This game came out a few years ago. I remember being in, like, middle school when I first heard about it. But the gameplay, 10 out of 10. I love choice-based games. They're some of my favorite games. The looks on this game, also 10 out of 10. My favorite type of games. Like, if you were to ask me my favorite games, my top 3 would probably be Tomb Raider, Red Dead Redemption, and what's the other one that I always say? Anyway, there's 2 of the 3. I'll think of the third one someday, but games like these are my favorite, and the story was a 10 out of 10. I do remember watching this in middle school, but I didn't remember who the murderer was. Crazy plot twist. This is also the first time that I dressed up for a game series. If you didn't know that, you haven't seen my short form or my series, because I know I do long form content. Put me on the background. Sometimes you'll see me in, I guess technically cosplay, but I wouldn't say that. It's like Disney bounding, but with video game characters. Anyway, 10 out of 10, and we get our blue approves. We are also halfway through. So, let's open a Destined Rivals pack, shall we? Let's see, can I get this open? Oh my gosh, I can. Normally I have to cut tops off. Okay, if I remember for Scarlet, it should be an energy, just one from the back to the front. So, here we are. Also, if you see my messed up finger, sorry. Okay, I can't read those. Rotom. I also don't know how to pronounce Pokemon names half the time, so bear with me. We have, God, that does not look good in this light. Oh, there we go. Oh. Will we get a hit? I don't know. I did get a hit. It was the Bidoofor, I do believe. We gotta stick on that one. That's the Starmie, that's right. It's the Hippo guy. I do know some names. names. Oh, this is a, I don't remember what those ones are. Alright, last card. I think we have an EX. Wait, that's freaking sick. One of my favorite Pokemon, is Mew in its evolutions. Mewtwo was my first favorite Pokemon, growing up. I was into the card game when I was younger. I have yet to watch the TV show. I remember seeing some episodes growing up, but I don't know a whole lot. But I do want to not only play the games, but in the past year, I've gotten back into collecting. I used to collect growing up, so that's, in my book, a win. Also, if you scout Pokemon, or Magic Gathering, or Yu-Gi-Oh, or One Piece, or any other game, that's pretty especially kids. Just come on. There's no way a kid is gonna be able to afford a 200. Actually, it's 200 at GameStop. I don't know how much it is at other places. 150 to 200 Phantasmal Flames UPC. Anyway. So if it wasn't obvious that I'm nerdy, I'm really nerdy. So, but I figured I'd drag that into this to like show you more of my interest. I feel like it's very obvious that I like video games, but I haven't really told y'all much about me, if that makes sense. So another one of my interests is actually a lot of TCG games. I collect Magic, Pokemon, obviously, One Piece, and Yu-Gi-Oh! I have opened. The only one that I haven't opened is One Piece booster packs. I have like 3 pre-made decks, but I don't have anybody to play with. So, in the new year, one of my New Year's resolutions is to find somewhere to play all these and make friends. So, but moving on. Game 31. Vile. I remember this game was quite literally the definition of a vile game. So the gameplay, 8 out of 10, really good, but the secret things were kind of hard to find in the point and click aspect of this game. So, deducted a few points there. Looks though, it was like a 90s game, not 90s game, like a 90s web browser computer sort of thing. 10 out of 10. It even had like the warp look that the screen said. Remember the screens used to go out on the old computers? That was cool how they made that effect in it. Story, 10 out of 10. It took the seriousness of it and put light towards it rather than, like, how do I say it? It took a serious topic and it was written well enough where it wouldn't be like poking fun at the subject, and it showed like a light on what actually happens in the world to a lot of people. So, especially this category of people. I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to get demonetized, but an adult film star, I'll say. But this game is not for the faint of heart. So, if you do check it out because it has the Bluetooth sticker, be wary, be mindful, be warned. If you go watch my video of this game, I have a whole, like, segment in the beginning about how it's not for the faint of heart. I was messed up. Like, I sat on my computer after hitting the stop recording button for 10 minutes, like, what the fuck did I just play? But overall gets a 9.3 out of 10. Game 32, we have Overnight Interview Demo. I'm really, really excited for the full game of this to drop. The gameplay, 10 out of 10. You restock shelves, and you survive. I think. There wasn't a whole lot in the demo to really say how the game's gonna work. But in the demo, it was a 10 out of 10 for the gameplay. Along with the looks, I love the old looks to it, and the skulls are so funny, so silly. And I liked the idea of it, but I give it an 8 out of 10 for the story because this game is either going to be a really good game or it's going to crush my hopes for it. You know when you like play a demo and you're like, oh, I'm so excited, this is going to be great. You play the full game, it's like, this is nothing like the demo. I have a feeling that's going to be this game, but I'm giving it hope. So overall, 9.3 out of 10. How Fish is Made. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 for gameplay. It's a free roam, but you don't really do anything. You make like 3 decisions and that's it. Looks wise, I liked it. It was cool. Kind of gave old school vibes if I remember correctly. And it was dark though. Not like moral dark, but like the actual game was hard to see it was dark. So if you do check this game out, make sure your brightness is up. And overall, the story, I'm gonna 8 Overall, the story's getting an 8 out of 10. It was too sophisticated of thinking for me or something. I didn't really understand it. But I think I have a rough idea of how it was gonna go. Like, it's not actually about fish. It's about your outlook on life. It was really weird. But overall, 9 out of 10. It was different. Playing Kafka. If any of you had to read Kafka in school, you know how weird Kafka is as an author. But gameplay, we're getting a 9 out of 10. It was a different style of point and click that I really liked. Like, you didn't actually point and click, it was like a point and drag sort of game. But it was still puzzles, and it was think outside the box puzzles, which I liked. I need a haircut so bad. Do you see how long my hair is? And it keeps getting in my face, and I'm like, I'm gonna go bald. No, I'm not. I don't think I'd look good bald. Looks 10 out of 10. It was simple. It's like one of those games. It's simple and it works. So 10 out of 10. Story. I don't know why you want to give it a 10 out of 10. It's literally Kafka stories in game form. And I think I read The Metamorphosis in school. Weird, but kind of cool. So, take it with a grain of salt. If you don't like weird, this might not be the game for you. Overall, 9.6 out of 10. Rental. Gameplay, 8 out of 10. It was easy, but that goddamn maze. When I tell you I was in that maze for half an hour. Sucked ass. But anyway, it wasn't bad gameplay-wise. Looks, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. It is old school, but it's so pixelated that it's kind of hard to tell what some things are. Like, there was this tall figure, and it just looked like a stretched out Tickle Me Elmo. So I didn't really take that, like, scare seriously, like I should have. Because while this is a horror game, it was just like a indie game rather than indie horror game to me. And overall, story gets 8 out of 10. It was simple, wasn't anything too special in my opinion, so I took some points off. And overall, we're getting an 8.3 out of 10. Harvest Festival 64. Gameplay, we're getting an 8 out of 10. You walk around, and you do a lot of walking around. I wish there was more. So maybe like some mini games, some more point and click, but you literally walk around. You don't even pick up a rock, you just walk on the rock and you pick it up. So, nothing special. Looks wise, 9 out of 10. It looks like Animal Crossing. And I think it's supposed to be like Animal Crossing. So I took a point off because it wasn't too original. But not to spoil it, but the creepy parts of the game were really cool look-wise, so I kept it up high. And the story's an 8 out of 10 for me because it was short, and there was so much you had to do for this short game that I think we could have put some more stuff in the story. Maybe some, like, background lore, or, like, what happened after the festival took place. Like, I know it's supposed to be, like, a corrupt game, but I feel like we could have added some more. So overall, 8.3 out of 10. Okay. Some of y'all aren't gonna agree with me here, but I do have a lot of bias. This game, Tentacles Gallery, gameplay, we're getting a 7 out of 10. It was too repetitive. Way too repetitive. Along with, like, you're halfway through your task, and it's like, hey, do another task. And I'm like, no, let me finish my task. But that might just be, like, something up here telling me, like, you know. Looks 9 out of 10. It's SpongeBob. It looks like the old SpongeBob game that I used to play on my DS. Like, there's nothing you really need to take points off for. But because it looks like SpongeBob, there isn't a whole lot of creativity. And the plot twist is a little weird look-wise. The ending I got anyway. And I think I also took one off because it gave me motion sickness. I think I took a point off because it gave me motion sickness, looks-wise, in the first-person mode. So, we're getting 9 out of 10 looks. Story, 10 out of 10. It's based off an actual SpongeBob episode that I very vividly remember watching as a kid. And, you know, it doesn't leave a whole lot of creativity, but I think they really took it and molded it to have a lot of creativity. And it's very not for kids. We've got a lot of foul language, dark, like, themes, especially for, like, SpongeBob. So, overall, we're getting an 8.6 out of 10, and even though it is an 8.6, which isn't too high in my opinion, especially for the blue approved sticker, still getting it because I have bias. I grew up watching SpongeBob. And to be honest, if some kid had SpongeBob on, I'd sit down and watch an episode or two with them now, in my grown age. So, Game 38, Replay. Gameplay, 10 out of 10. I love the first person I'm playing a game in a game. It really worked, especially when you look around. Terrifying, might I add. Absolutely terrifying, but it worked good. Looks-wise, 10 out of 10. I like the pixelated part, like I'm just a kid in the 90s playing the cheap version of Mario because my parents can't afford it. It's basically what it was giving. Story though, 8 out of 10. It really wasn't a story, and that's why I took 2 points off, so. But if you haven't seen me play this and you haven't seen a playthrough of this, this is free. Check it out if you just need like a short 5-10 minute-ish long game. Overall, 10.3 out of 10 for me. Did I say 10.3? I meant to say 9.3. And speaking of another 9.3 out of 10, D-Part Prototype. Gameplay, 10 out of 10. I have been searching for another game that is horror in a first-person shooter mix. So if you know a game like that, please let me know, and I will play it, because I've been looking, and I can't find shit. Looks 10 out of 10. Freaked me out. There were some parts that, like, were decoy jump scares. Scared the shit out of me. It's very lifelike. And I think that's why I like it so much. You know? But, story-wise, we're getting an 8 out of 10. There really wasn't a story. And why it doesn't need a story, I wish there was some more. Like, who are these people? Whose basement am I in? Why am I here? Maybe this person has made more games? I don't know. Maybe I should check it out. But, again, if you haven't seen the gameplay of this, either in general or on my channel, check it out. It's so cool in the horror world. Like, I feel like, me personally, I haven't played a horror game like this, ever. So this is really cool. And like I said earlier, it gets a 9.3 out of 10 for me. I forgot that's the photo I used. Soak Bowl test demo. Gameplay, 10 out of 10. I like the quiz gone wrong sort of thing. And while I have played multiple games like this one in particular did it so well. No complaints. Looks, I mean, look at that, that's freaky. So, 10 out of 10. Like, can't complain. And I give the story a 10 out of 10 while it is the demo, and there wasn't, like, a huge storyline. They are set up very, very well to have a very in-depth, like, story and lore for this game. So, overall, 10 out of 10. It gives my approval. Very excited. This is on my wish list to play whenever it drops. Beyond Two Souls. Gameplay, 10 out of 10. Any game like this is probably going to get a full 10 out of 10 for me, because I love these games. Gameplay 10 out of 10. I was debating taking off some points because of the whole Aiden thing. It was hard to control in the beginning, and like Heavy Rain, I actually had to fix quite a bit of controller issues off screen. Like in Heavy Rain, if you open a door, my joystick wasn't reading correctly. And in this game, Aiden was so hard to control. But I turned some settings off, and instead of getting motion sickness in 5 minutes of playing Aiden, I actually could get through the game. So if you have motion sickness, go through the settings. I do it on every game now. Story 10 out of 10. It was so unique. I don't think I've really played a game with the whole twin connected, help me out, because you're a ghost, but you're not a ghost because you're connected to me sort of thing. Hard to explain, but I do recommend, if you watch anything from my channel, watch these games because they're fun and they're so replayable. There's so many different endings. There's like 5 different endings for this game, I believe. But overall, 10 out of 10 gets my approval. Creepy Tales Smile Dog. Gameplay, 8 out of 10. It's a point and click difference game. Nothing special. Looks, it's getting an 8 out of 10. I do like the realistic dogs that were photoshopped to look weird. However, there was not a whole lot of range image-wise. Like, the scary part looked like something I would have drawn as like a 5-year-old obsessed with creepypastas on my DS. And yes, I did used to do that. Do not judge me. I've grown as a person. So that's why I'm taking it back on looks. I think it would have been not only scarier, but taken more seriously if it was different. But it still worked. It still worked. I'm not saying it was a bad game. Story 8 out of 10. I took some points off because it's literally just the Smile Dog creepypasta that more than likely all of you know from when we were in like 2010. No, I was too young in 2010. 2016. We're bringing back 2016 and 2026. So if I say 2016, that's why. Overall, 8 out of 10. I would like to see more creepypastas during the games. I know we had Slenderman and Slender Tubbies or whatever, but more not so known. Like, this is very popular, but I'm talking like Sonic EX type creepypasta games. Those would be cool. Game 43, Lily's Little Video Shop. I actually saw that there is a barn version, like they made a second game. So I'm very, very excited. I have it in my wish list, debating if I should play it. Because gameplay-wise, it was too repetitive and it took way too long. If you miss one little detail, you can't just go back one day. You have to start the whole week over again. So it took me a while to actually beat this game to get the lore ending. So like my 1.5-hour long video was actually like 4 hours long. It was insane. But I do believe they fixed that in the newer game, and they actually fixed this shortly after I played, unfortunately. Looks wise, 9 out of 10. Really liked it. I like the 3D part of it, but it was a little hard to see some stuff, like the weapons and the tools and whatnot. I think that's just a darkness thing, and that's just me being nitpicky with this game. But story, overall 10 out of 10. I know a lot of people said it is a Lacy game remake. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm not saying it is, you know? It does have the same gist of Lacy games, but I think it's different enough that, you know, I'm not gonna complain like everybody else did. Like, if you go on the Steam page for this game, everybody's like, this is just Lacy Games. Hate to break it to you. Lacy Games isn't a game yet. These guys might have had the idea before Lacy Game. You never know. But overall, 9 out of 10. Even though it was a pain in the ass to play lengthwise, it gets my approval. Mr. Magpie's Harmless Card Game Demo. Gameplay, given a 7 out of 10. It didn't teach me how to play in the demo. So hopefully in the full game, I don't know if it's out or not yet, it tells you how to play, but it's very simple. It's just flip a card. So I feel like something could be added to it. And 2024 was a big year for gambling games for some reason. Don't know why, but there was a lot of gambling games. I guess we're all gambling in 2024. Looks though 10 out of 10. I do like the puppet. It was off-putting for some reason, even though it's just a puppet. So, story though, 6 out of 10. They didn't tell me jack shit in the demo, and that's why I'm putting it so low. Normally in the demo you get some sort of lore. Here you got nothing. They throw you in, and they're like, flip a card, and that's it. Especially compared to all the other demos I played, wasn't the greatest. So I'm giving this a 7.6 out of 10. Probably one of my lower, and probably my not my lowest because I had a 3 out of 10. But hopefully the full game is a little better. Speaking of gambling games, I played 3 gambling games in one. This is the second one, I believe. 10 out of 10. This took the 10 out of 10 for the gameplay, excuse me. This took the gambling aspect of gaming in a good way. Like, you're not gambling for money, you're not gambling for new gun skins or whatever. It's like, hey, pick the right pill or you're dead. Word. Looks wise, 10 out of 10. I don't know what it is about the art style, but it's like weird, and I like it, you know? And while the demo didn't have lore, I'm gonna give the story a 10 out of 10 because there's like enough to know that you are some sort of test dummy for these pills. So overall, 10 out of 10, but it's not gonna give my approval because don't know how well the main game is, which is out, so let me know if you want me to play the full game. Oh, yes, the boba tea shop, where I thought a woman was a monkey. That sounds so bad out of context. I'ma shut up. Gameplay, 10 out of 10. It reminded me of like the old days of Cooking Mama, but better. So, can't complain. Can't complain. I like games that make me make little drinks or little food. Looks 10 out of 10. This game freaked me out big time. Like, I had high hopes for this game. They exceeded them. And I actually stayed away from gameplays and whatnot, so I was completely like clueless playing this game. So 10 out of 10. Story, also 10 out of 10. You know, a lot of indie games are copy and paste. This one kinda did. Like, girl alone, girl spooked out. Are we gonna die? You know? But I think this was one of the first games in that movement that we saw in the indie horror games. Like, this became really big and everybody else was like, cool, let me make something like it. So overall, we get the 10 out of 10. Gets my Blue approves sticker. Game 47, a simple job. I haven't played Stanley Parable or whatever it's called, or even seen a gameplay. It is a game that I might play in my lifetime, but based off of the things I've heard about that game, this is that, but in a really toned down, simple version. So overall gameplay gets 9 out of 10. I liked how many different things there were and how simple it was at the same time though. Looks, 9 out of 10. Simple, it worked. It was pixelated, but it worked. You know, a lot of games that are pixelated in this sense of this game, I'm like, eh. but it worked here. In the story, it gets a 9 out of 10. It was silly, it was goofy, it was fun. Can't complain about the storyline. It made sense, along with the DLC. Not something I could play for like an hour, but something I could definitely play when I'm bored. Overall, 9 out of 10. Game 48, The Ware Cleaner. This was actually one of the games that I played for the channel and actually replayed in my free time. Gameplay, 10 out of 10. It's simple, it's easy, it's reminds me of those mobile games actually, where you like run a hotel and you have to like clean the bathrooms or whatever. Looks 10 out of 10. The art style was so freaking cute. Like even like that little, what is it called, game screen that I have on the screen right now, like that's adorable. Come on. Story, 10 out of 10. You know, he's got to make his bills. He's got to make money for the bills, for rent, and he just so happens to be a werewolf, and he's got to work night shifts during a week of a full moon. This one was supposed to have the blue approve sticker, and it doesn't. I fixed it. It gets my approval. I actually finished the game, got most of the achievements, and like a month later I was like, I'm bored, I need something to do, and replayed this. Like, this is a very replayable game. So check it out. It is free. 59. Little Miss Fortune. I did technically play these two out of order. Little Miss Fortune and Franbow. Franbow is going to be a few more games down. But Little Miss Fortune, gameplay, 10 out of 10. It's a point and click. But also, like, low-key free roam. Structured free roam would probably be the best way to describe it. And there's a lot of mini games that you can do. There's a lot of freeness, but also it keeps you on track the whole time. Looks 10 out of 10. Absolutely love this art style. You know, it's cute, but it's also creepy, and it's like different. And I like different. Story, 10 out of 10. I see a lot of games that like use kids in like these scary worlds, and they don't really come out very well, but these guys did very, very well. Killmoy, I believe, is the devs of the game. Loved the voice acting in this game. I also really liked. What is her line? Wish I could say it. Wish I could remember it. Oh, she's just a little lady. But overall, 10 out of 10 gets my approval. Another game that I probably won't forget about. Game 50, Fear Assessment. I think I played this twice this year, or last year, by accident, because one was the demo. Didn't realize it was demo later on. Tried to find a third game before a free random game video. Found the full game, paid $2 for it. Gameplay, 10 out of 10. I do believe it's like a questionnaire, if I remember correctly. But instead of like a yes, no, this or that, it's like, is this person safe or is this person safe? And they both looked fucked. So, liked it. Can't complain, it was easy to play. Looks, 10 out of 10. Freaked me out. It had the old computer style look to it, and I really think that's so effective in games like these. Don't know why, but it works. Story, 10 out of 10. There wasn't a whole lot of lore, but it had a plot, it had a storyline, and it worked. So overall, full game, 10 out of 10, and it gives my approval sticker. While it was only like 5 or 6 minutes long of gameplay, I do think the $2 that I spent was worth it. Perfect Berman. I saw somebody play this very briefly, and I was like, let me check out the full video. Not full video, full game. Gameplay, 10 out of 10. It was different. I liked the aspect of finding what was out of place and destroying it. It was different for a horror game. I think this is technically a horror game. It looks 9 out of 10. So there was something about it. I don't remember what it was, but it was weird. Where's my nose? My notes are saying it could have been more gory. Yes, that's right. It was supposed to be like blood and guts, but it just looked like red slime. So in the beginning it was kind of hard to follow until I was like, oh hey, these are actually, I think, supposed to be like my insides being destroyed. Story 10 out of 10. It is representative. It's representative of illness, if I remember correctly. Cancer, I believe, which you actually don't find out until the end. So I'm hoping you watched the video, or I just totally spoiled it for you. Sorry. But overall, it's a 9.6 out of 10 for me. Blood Money. This one was popular for a while this year. I say this year, it's 2026. This was in 2025. Gameplay 8 out of 10. There was just way too much clicking. Way too much clicking. And I replayed it and I didn't get the upgrades, so I was clicking for an hour straight. My finger was gonna fall off. Like, why do I gotta click so much? Looks though, 10 out of 10. It's simple. I really like the up close, like, I guess they're technically gory scenes, because it was so different from like the cutesy drawing of like the style. So it really was like, hey, this is fucked. So story 10 out of 10. It plays with morals in a good way. You know, what would somebody do for so much money? We have seen that in a lot of games, I feel like, or at least I have, even way before I started my channel. And this one did it well, so can't complain. Overall, we get a 9.3 out of 10. Game 53, Shutter Story Demo. I found this on a whim. I was just scrolling through Steam looking for some games. I typically don't look at demos in Steam, but this one caught my eye, along with the next one, but we'll get into that later. Gameplay, 10 out of 10, it was so cool. You have to find Ghost, and I think in the full game, it will blend together that aspect along with the gameplay of walking around in the house pretty well, I hope, because I'm very excited about this game. Looks wise, aren't the greatest for the 3D of the world in this game. Like your character and your friend, that could be a little better in my opinion, but this is just the demo, so I'm cutting them some slack. But the actual computer and the ghost photos, 10 out of 10 for what it is. Story, also 10 out of 10. You're telling me that I gotta find Ghost with my childhood best friend? I'm in. So overall, 10 out of 10. And this demo actually does get the does actually get the blue approved sticker. So we'll be playing this when it comes out. Another one that I'm definitely gonna play when it comes out, Desktop Explorer demo. This game was so long for a demo, and it gave me so much lore, and there's so much to do for a demo. It was insane, and I think that's why I'm so excited for this one. So the overall gameplay is 10 out of 10. You know, there's puzzles, there's riddles, you have to go into files, you have to put files together, you decode stuff. It was super cool and super different. Looks wise, 10 out of 10. It's the old computer style. Love it, especially in this context. And the story, they actually gave you a whole story in here. So 10 out of 10, it wasn't hey, this is what we're doing in our game, this is what's gonna be in it. It was this is basically the game served on a platter. So 10 out of 10 gets my approval. Yes, we did play these out of order, because technically Franbo came out before Little Misfortune, I believe. Franbo, gameplay rate an 8 out of 10. It's a point and click game, but there wasn't really a whole lot more to do. There was like that frog mini game, and there was the jumping mini game where we're like running through the woods, and there just wasn't a whole lot, and the puzzles were actually pretty hard, especially compared to Little Misfortune. And like the going back and forth between the two worlds was really, really cool, but sometimes it became so confusing. So took a few points off of that. Looks wise, 10 out of 10. Again, said this multiple times. Love the art style. Story, 10 out of 10. Again, they took that like kid who sees the absolute horrors of the world and did it right. So overall, 9.6 out of 10, and it is my approval sticker. I just hit the wrong arrow. Next we have Game 56 Fever Meme. This was also really, really popular, especially on TikTok. Gameplay, 10 out of 10. It was funny. It rage baited, like it said too. It rage baited like it said it was going to, but not so much that I rage quit. I almost did, but I didn't. Looks, I'm giving a 7 out of 10. That's just because it was not made for people with motion sickness. I had to take multiple breaks, so that's why it's getting deducted quite a bit. But story overall, 10 out of 10. I really like all the different things that you can do in this game. It's very, very replayable, and the endings are really cool. So I would beg to differ that I could have given it a 9, because you have to uninstall the game and reinstall if you get the bad ending, and you basically have to replay the whole game to get the good ending. So overall, this game gets a 9 out of 10 for me. You know, I have music on in the background. I really hope it hasn't played an ad without me knowing, because I don't have my headphones on. Whoops. Game 57, Unheard Voices of Crime. Gameplay, 10 out of 10. It was so cool to be able to walk around, listen to things, and like other people's stories and piece them together. I really did feel like a detective. Looks though, super basic and not in the best way. So we're getting it. So I'm gonna give it a 8 out of 10. I wish there was more, but it worked in this game. Story, 10 out of 10. Loved it. The plot twist at the end is insane. If you need something to throw on in the background, this is one of those games. So 9.3 out of 10. I wish I could speak. Game 58, My Voice Zoo. When I tell you, this made me blow up on Instagram. It was insane. I think I hit like 100k views, and I was only getting like up to 1,000. Did not blow up anywhere else. It has the most views on my YouTube channel though, and it's in like only the 30s or something like that, which I'm not complaining. That was so crazy to see. Gameplay, 10 out of 10. You click around, you unlock animals, and you actually voice the animals. There was so much power in my hands, and I took advantage of that. So if you need a little giggle, check out this one. Looks, 10 out of 10. The graphics of the photo that I used are not doing it well, but it was really cute. Love the art style of this. In the story, there really wasn't story, but it didn't need a story, so it's still getting a 10 out of 10 for that little bit of lore that we found in the beginning of the game, and it gets my approval. This game was like $3 or something, and it's so worth the money. It's so replayable. Like, you can play it and then you can replay it with a friend. Very, very funny. So it gets my sticker of approval. Game 59. This was popular in like... When did Queso get big? Because he made this game big. Whatever year that was. I want to say it was like 2022 or 2023. I had it in my library for a while. Never played it. I was looking for a game one day. Couldn't find anything. So I just settled to play this game. Gameplay is going to get 8 out of 10. it's pretty buggy, even in the newer years. Could just be because it never got updated. I don't really know. I didn't keep up with this game. Looks, it's gonna get an 8 out of 10. It's simple, nothing special. And it is not the best for motion sickness, but I do have a lot of bias in looks when it comes to motion sickness because I get such a bad headache and I just feel sick. So couldn't play this game for very long, unfortunately. And the story is an 8 out of 10. While every character does technically have lore, the actual fullness of the game, I wish I knew why this guy was kidnapping people. Maybe I didn't play long enough to find out, I don't know. But I played the first 2 levels, called it quits, couldn't do it anymore. So overall, this game gets a 8 out of 10 for me. And the last game we played in the year of 2025 for the week of Christmas was Light Up the Town. I followed this game, every single update that they posted on Instagram. I was so excited to play this game. I don't think it's a very expensive game. Absolutely worth the money, you know, the couple of dollars that I spent. Gameplay 10 out of 10. I get to go around, I get to decorate a town with Christmas lights. Awesome. Looks, 10 out of 10. It was adorable. It does get extremely bright in some places, but that's pretty realistic. If you ask me, you put up too many lights like Martha Mayhew, that's gonna be pretty bright. In the story, 10 out of 10. This little gets to bring holiday cheer to everybody, and it brought cheer to me. Like, when you get older, the holidays are still special, but it doesn't have that magic that I had when you're young, you know? And this game brought that back for some reason. Don't know why. Not that I'm complaining, but I really enjoyed this game. I actually continued playing it after I beat the main story. I still have it downloaded, and I may or may not go back to it even in the middle of summer. Like, it doesn't have to be Christmas to put up Christmas lights in a game. So, if you did not check this one out, I 100%, 1000% even recommend checking it out next holiday season. And the main reason why I was actually so into it is because some of the YouTubers that I watch, specifically Vanilla Mace and Arasha Lalani, were in it and voiced. It was so cool. They also just used a lot of, I guess, technically smaller creators. You know, they're still very known, but like compared to like Markiplier, they're pretty small. And that was really I can speak. And that was really neat to see, especially like people that I watch in my free time. Very cool to see them have little voice acting in a game. So overall, 10 out of 10. Check this one out. It was worth the delays they put to. It was like 2 weeks late, but I wasn't complaining. And this gets my blue approval sticker. And overall, that is the end of all the games that I played in the year of 2025. So, like I said, we have another pack to open. Phantasmal Flames. I'm pulling the Charizard. You watch. I'm gonna pull the Charizard. I can't open this one. Don't mind the way I cut that. My finger is still a little sore. If I actually pull the Charizard, I'm gonna freak out. But while I pull these, like and subscribe to see the games that I play in the big year of 2026. Got Bolton, Bunnery, can't read that one. I legit can't read that one. Whoever that is, that's new. You are Celeste? No, Cresselia. Haunter, another one of my faves. I love Gengar, and Ghastly, and Haunter. launcher, technically. Is that a reverse? Yeah, reverse holo. I'm about to shine on that one. Who is that? I think it's another EX. I don't even think it's an EX. I think... It's actually hard to see. Who is that? I need to catch up on Pokemon. I think the last sets that I like were pulling were in like shit. Had to be like 10. Which places me in 2016. Jesus Christ, 2016. But that was today's video. This one was laid back. I'm getting back into the rhythm. I do have a couple of new games to play in the next few weeks. I do want to start streaming. I would love to stream. Just the only thing about that is that I don't have a schedule and I don't really know how Twitch works, so I have to teach myself how Twitch works. I used to stream. Funny story. Way back then. I was in middle school. I was streaming Roblox and Osu. We'll play better games than those, I swear. I really want to play Mortal Kombat. I know it's a lot different than the games that I mainly play, but I loved playing Mortal Kombat X, and I have... I guess Mortal Kombat 10 if you think about it. And I have 11 and 1 to play. I have quite a few games to play, especially streaming ones. So, with that being said, that was today's video. If there's any game demo that you saw in here that you want me to play the full game, let me know. If there's any games in general that you want to see me play, let me know. I'm very, very excited to be back. Be careful with blades, people. Be very careful with blades. Hopefully next time we'll have a little bit more fun than today. I took it easy, took it light. I wanted to put this out on New Year's Day, like I said, and then I was an idiot. So, cool. Can't wait to get back in the rhythm of things. But, that being said, I love you. Rock on. I'll see you next time.